Although today's video is not going to contain any lockpicking, it is lockpicking related, kind of, maybe. So a couple of years ago, I bought myself a Panavise 350. Now, these are the Ferrari of the vices for lock sport. They've got a very stable weighted base. You've got these wide jaws that can hold Euro cylinders or kick cylinders or padlocks or anything you want. It's a fantastic vice, but I thought I wanted to upgrade it a little bit. As you can see, I've had this for a couple of years and the paint on this bottom section is just starting to peel away. It's just looking a bit tatty. So what I thought we'd do today is to renovate this vice. Now, before we can get started, I need to strip this down. So first job is to strip it down, and then we can look at what we're going to do with it. That's everything stripped down. Now, all these pieces in the box, I'm going to give them a bit of a clean, but we don't really need these until a little bit later when we come to assemble. I'm going to put these to one side and we're going to concentrate on these four pieces here. Now, the first job is to use this paint stripper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush it on using this brush. I'll pour a little bit into this lid and then I can paint it on from there. Now, this stuff is pretty nasty, so what I'm going to be doing is once I've painted the paint stripper on, I'll put all the pieces in this box and I can pop it outside in the fresh air for a couple of hours. As I said, it's nasty stuff. I will be wearing my gloves. Safety first. It's been a couple of hours and I'm hoping that is long enough for the paint stripper to have worked its magic. I'll take some wire wool and I can use that to clean up the paint residue and also the stripper residue off of these parts. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a rub and we'll see if this paint has softened or is at least coming off. Yeah, I think I can see the metal under there. It's kind of difficult to see because the metal's silver and the paint's silver as well. This could take some time. All the paint's off, at least I think it is. It's very difficult to see. As I say, the metal's silver and the paint was silver too. It was a bit of a dirty job and it's really made a mess of my wire wool. Before we move on to the next stage, I need to give these parts a clean. I've got some soapy water and I've got a scourer. It's time to do some washing up. So we are getting closer. Our pieces are now paint free and they are clean, and I've also dried everything as well. Before we can look at painting, I've got to rough everything up. So I've got some 240 grit sandpaper. I'm going to go over everything and key the surface so our paint has got something good to stick to. That's looking pretty good to me. I just need to repeat that for everything. This is going to take some time, so I think I'm going to speed this section up. I think we've pretty well keyed up the base. You can see it's all scratched up. But there is actually one more stage we need to do before painting, and that is to take care of these holes. As you can imagine, when it comes to reassembly, I've got to make sure that all the threads are clear of paint. I don't want paint running into those holes. What I thought I'd do is take some paper towel. I can tear little pieces off and I can stuff it in the holes, and that should mask them up pretty well. I want to make sure they're stuffed in there pretty good. I don't want any paint getting in there and ruining our threads. Cut off the excess with a knife, or just tear it off with my fingers, whatever works. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Make sure he's stuffed in there neatly. Don't want him to pop through the other side. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Now to repeat that for all of the threaded holes on these 4 pieces. And welcome to my spray booth. It may look like a cardboard box, but it's a specialised piece of equipment. Right, so I've got this surface primer and I'm going to spray everything with this first. Give it a good shake up. A little test spray and we'll get started. In case you can't tell, I don't have a lot of experience spray painting, so I spoke to a friend of mine and he said to me the secret to this is doing lots of very light coats. It does take a lot more time, but at least you're not going to get any paint drips. So what I'm going to do is give everything a light dusting, let it sit for 20 minutes or so, and then come back and give it another coat. And I'm just going to keep repeating that until everything is covered. If you're going to try painting yourself, make sure it's in a well ventilated area. Paint fumes can be pretty nasty and you only get one set of lungs. I think this is going to take me some time, so let's fast forward until everything's coated. Well, that took a hell of a lot longer than I thought it was going to take, but it is done. I'm pretty pleased with the results so far. So what colour am I going to paint my vise? Well, I wasn't too keen on the silver. I wanted something a bit brighter, so I went for orange. As with the primer, I'm going to do lots of light coats with this. I look at this vise really closely and yeah, I really don't want to see any paint runs in it. They say slow and steady wins the race, and I'm definitely taking that on board with this paint job. Nice to finally see some colour going back on. Obviously it looks very pale at the moment, but I'm going to keep coating this until we get a nice deep and bright orange. This may take some time. And there we have it, the finished vise. I'm really pleased with how this came out. I know the colour might be a bit of a Marmite choice, but I'm a child of the 70s, so yeah, everything was orange and brown when I was a kid, so it's kind of a retro look. That's what I was going for. And it came out really well. I'm really pleased with the paint finish. I'm glad I took my friend's advice to take my time and do lots of coats. I think quite often when I do workshop stuff, I kind of rush it. I'm really keen to, finish whatever I'm doing and try it out. But I think with something like painting, you've really got to take your time. The last thing I wanted to do with a tool like this that I'm using almost daily is to have ugly kind of paint runs in it. I wanted it to come out really well, so I'm really pleased with it. You can see the other thing I did is I put these black inserts in. Now I've got access to a vinyl plotter and I was able to cut these shapes out of matte black vinyl and then stick them around here, just so when I've got pins and springs and bits of locks in there, I'll be able to see them against that bright orange colour. Anyway, what do you think of the colour? What colour would you do your vise? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you've enjoyed this video. It's been a while since I've done a kind of workshop video. I really enjoyed doing them, but they do take quite a lot of editing. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.